It's another day in paradise here in the studio. Against all odds, we're going to pit Phil Collins, the solo giant, against himself in his band Genesis to see once and for all who ruled the 80s and 90s. Now, you and I can't dance to any of this music, but how does Phil really lose this debate?
Phil definitely doesn't lose, but the fans might. We have to talk about that pivot point where Genesis stopped being a band and started being Phil's very expensive backup group. Also, is there a point where Phil Collins' solo success actually swallowed the legacy of Genesis? That's the land of confusion I want to map out today.
Well, hello and welcome to Totally 80s and 90s Recall, a podcast where we rewind back to the music, movies, and pop culture moments of the greatest 2 decades ever, the 80s and 90s. I am one of your hosts, David, and back with me as always, his favorite Disney movie is Tarzan. It's my good friend, Rob.
Yeah. I didn't like that one. Hey, today's intro goes out to all of our listeners who've walked away or have ever contemplated walking away from the Totally 80s and 90s Recall podcast. How could David and I just let you walk away? How could we let you leave without a trace when we stand here taking every breath with you every Tuesday? After all, you're the only ones who really know us at all. How can you just walk away from us when all we can do is watch you leave? Because we've shared the laughter and the pain and even shed some tears. Again, I speak to for the Totally 80s and 90s Recall team when I say you're the only one who really knows us at all. David and I wish we could just make you turn around and see us cry. There's so much we need to say to you, so many reasons why. But if you walk away from today's episode hearing nothing, at least hear this. Take a look at us now. When you're not here, there's just an empty space. And there's nothing left here to remind us, just the memory of your face. But most of all, to wait for you is all we can do. And that's what we've got to face. And you coming back to us is against all the odds, and that's what we've got to face. So take a look at us now.
Those lyrics, those words this week are crushing.
It's poetic.
It's a little misty in the studio with Kip back in the booth there. Kip, he wasn't expecting that.
No,
emotional jerk of his soul today.
Right.
So, well, as we mentioned at the beginning, and those lyrics probably led you into this week, we've got Genesis taking on Phil Collins.
Yeah.
This is actually a listener request topic from one of our longtime listeners, William W. down there in Alabama.
Hopefully, William, we do him proud.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
There you go.
Yeah.
That should at least make him happy.
There you go.
Everyone in Alabama, well, I think about half, because I think the Auburn people don't like Roll Tide. That's War Eagle. So I don't know which one it is for you, William. So we'll say Roll Tide / War Eagle. You pick out which one is most appropriate for you. So, but with Genesis and Phil Collins, we have a scenario here that we have a successful band coming out of the 70s, and they get into the 80s, change their sound probably a little bit. We'll let you kind of dive into that. But he on one side you have Phil, and he's in the band, pretty much the lead singer / drummer of Genesis, and he's one and the same of. When I was a kid, I think I didn't know the difference. Like, if you played me a Phil Collins song or you played me a Genesis song, I probably couldn't have told you one was different from the other.
I think that's a fair statement.
Because I think they all sound the same at that point. But, diving into this, it looks like so. But as a casual fan, if you played me one or the other and said, ooh, Life's on the Line, is that Genesis, is that Phil Collins? I'd be like, I think it's both.
I actually was thinking we should play a game. Like, we should have played a song and said...
which one is it?
Genesis or Phil Collins?
Well, now that I've done the research, I can kind of pick them out a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, if you took a casual 80s kid and put him in a chair and said, if you get it right, you get $1 million. If you get it wrong, we're going to pluck out an eyeball. Genesis or Phil Collins? Go.
I don't know. Well, I'm going to admit something. That happened to me a few times doing this research. I'd come across a song and I go, I really like that song.
Yeah.
Thought it was Phil Collins.
Well, the interesting...
It's Genesis, or vice versa.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing that you hit there, which we might find as we go through this today...
I should know that, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But as we go through this today, I think what we'll find is you hit good songs regardless. So you can start to weigh it in that whether it's Phil Collins or whether it's Genesis, as we said at the beginning, maybe you don't lose either way, depending. Now, I saw a lot on there that, people, Genesis and Phil Collins, whether he's in Genesis or by himself, you could say he's one of the dominant forces of the 80s.
Yes.
And you could also say it might have wore thin on some people after a while.
Yes.
Because he's everywhere.
He was everywhere.
And he's everything.
Yes.
And so maybe that sound after a while, drove some people off to go,
I've had enough.
I've had enough.
I've had enough.
Like, how much do I get here? Because at one point, he's putting out a solo album, and Genesis is putting out, and both the albums are like high on the charts at the same time. So it doesn't matter where you turn, you're going to get smacked by Phil Collins.
I've actually got some data on that.
Oh,
so check this out.
Share.
So between 1980 and 1999, so it's 19 years. 15 out of the 19 years saw a release from either Collins, Genesis, or Mike and the Mechanics. That's nearly 79% of the decade. You got one of those three.
That's crazy.
87, 90, 92, 94, and 98 were the only years that didn't see some sort of work from Collins, Genesis, or Mike and the Mechanics. 1980 through 1986, though, that's 7-year span. 6 out of those 7 years saw a release from Collins or Genesis. In 1981, you had Genesis releases Abacab, and Collins releases Face Value.
Yep.
1985, Collins releases No Jacket Required. And then a year and 4 months later, they release Invisible Touch. So in the 80s and 90s, you literally couldn't turn on the radio and not hear.
Not find either.
And I didn't even look at Peter Gabriel. So if you rolled him in and go, there's some Genesis connection in the 80 to 2000, 20-year span. You got.
They dominated.
They were everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, there's an argument when you look at some of the stats and you look at some of which we'll talk about a little bit, but outside of like Michael Jackson and maybe Madonna, this is it. Like and I don't know if people always look back at the 80s like that and go, well, that guy really dominated the 80s. And I would argue that Phil's solo success probably even propelled Genesis a little more.
Oh, absolutely.
Because people who found Phil's solo music, then they listen to Genesis, like, oh, well, I like that guy, so I'm going to listen to him over here too.
Yep. I think that absolutely happened.
I think ultimately you could, Genesis can thank Phil for doing some solo work that really pushed the band up, probably even higher than they would have been. I'm not saying they wouldn't have had good songs in the 80s, but maybe not to not to the level that they rose to. Yeah. Because they, like you just said, 80% of the time you turn on the radio.
Well, and we'll talk about probably more later, but Genesis's sound, I don't know, would have lent itself to it was a very specific niche market group fan base, and I think Phil Collins put a little
what I found about
different spin on it that brought people in.
Yeah, and what I found about Phil was Phil never intended to be a solo artist. He was just he said he started writing songs and doing music to it was like his own therapy because he was going through a divorce and doing all these other things. So it was just kind of his way to get thoughts out on paper. And then all of a sudden they kind of formulated themselves into songs. And he only did it when he was on a break from Genesis. He never did it with Genesis. And so, but his style, he favored R&B. He liked a lot of R&B, horns, things like that. And Genesis always saw themselves as like a prog rock kind of progressive band, and they didn't really get into the horns as much and that kind of like poppy R&B type stuff. But then as the 80s go on, I think a little of that from Phil bleeds into it regardless.
Oh, yeah.
But I do say now, I said at the beginning, I couldn't tell the difference, but I do say now, I listen to some Genesis songs, and listen to some Phil Collins songs, and I can tell there's a little bit of stylistic change in both, right? Yep. So I think there's a little bit there.
And I think we talked about that we weren't going to talk about pre-80s Genesis.
Yeah, I mean, we're focused. We understand there was pre-80s.
Right. But their sound does change pretty drastically. The first album came out in 80. Their first 80s album came out in 1980.
Yeah.
But prior to that, they went back as far as 1969.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and their sound was way different.
It sounds nothing like.
It was way different. It was very much flutes and fairies and.
Well, and people will probably, if you don't know this, most people know by now, but Peter Gabriel was the original lead singer. Yeah. He leaves Genesis in the mid 70s.
Yeah.
And then Phil takes over.
Yeah, he left in 75.
Yeah. So he leaves mid 70s. Phil takes over. And then objectively, the sound was probably going to change a little because just listen to Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins separately. They're a lot different kind of artists, right? I mean, so they had one kind of sound, they go to another sound. And I'm sure there were fans that were like, oh, Phil's bringing this more pop kind of, but it made the band more accessible to radio, to MTV ultimately.
Which is
like
interesting because there's lots of talk online about how true Genesis fans feel that they sold out.
Of course they did.
And I hate that conversation.
I hate it all the time.
You know, we talked about it with the Metallica episode.
So, yeah.
They evolved. I don't know if they sold out. They changed. They evolved. So to say they sell out, I think that's an unfair comment.
The whole argument that just because you became successful, you sold out, I can't get on that. Yeah. The type of songs they were writing, maybe at one point were as popular on the radio, and then as you got into a different era, that kind of music became more popular on the radio.
And I will argue, and I think we'll talk about it more as we go along, that when you listen to Genesis's their catalog, I don't think they ever lost their original sound.
Yeah,
I don't think they did. I think they maintained it. I think it was always there. They just maybe modified it a little bit, modernized it, but I think it was always there.
Well, and you have a different front man for the group. He's going to have different ideas, and he's going to have different ways probably to do stuff. Because again, Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins, two drastically different kind of artists.
Which I thought I'd heard somewhere that they didn't like each other, but I read that that's not true. They're very supportive of each other.
I didn't find that at all. So, in fact, I've got a good example of that coming up later.
Yeah, they like each other.
Well, on one side is a successful group. That's a hard word, successful group. And on the other, a literal hit machine of a solo artist. So let's head back to the MTV pop-infused era of the 80s and 90s to settle the score once and for all. Is it Genesis or is it Phil Collins? And real quick, if you are joining us on YouTube today or whatever day you find us, if you're enjoying the podcast, watching Rob and I talk to each other, it is quite exciting. Make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss any new episodes. And, tell your friends. Bring them to the channel. You can also turn the video part off and just listen to us. That works too. Yeah. Either way, we get YouTube thinking we're somewhat successful. And then that'll be good for us and good for everyone else that wants to find us out there. So before we jump in, I did want to say what I find most interesting about this topic is we have a history. Well, the topic is that no matter what side you look at it, it worked. And we have musical history to tell us that this band solo thing never works. So you look at the Beatles, they broke up because Paul McCartney and John Lennon want to go solo. Destiny's Child, Beyonce's too big. She wants to go solo. Chicago, Peter Cetera's got to take off. You know, he's too big now. The Supremes, Diana Ross, Bangles, Susanna Hoffs. We have Van Halen, David Lee Roth, I need to go solo. Every time in those other examples, the person would go solo, it broke the band. They had to either get someone new or it just ended the whole situation. Yeah. But in this case, they were able to coexist regardless. Yeah. No matter how successful Phil's solo stuff was, they always came back to Genesis and they still made it work the whole time. That's a
really good point.
You didn't read in Spin Magazine or any of those that, there's fighting in Genesis or is this. No. And I find that interesting about this topic that they were able to traverse all the drama, and somehow when we're a group, play our music, and when we're solo, play our music. Because a lot of time bands will go, hey, Phil, that was a great song you wrote for your solo album. How can you bring that to the Genesis table? But the reality is Genesis, Mike Rutherford, and the other guy.
Terry.
Yeah, it's Terry.
Tony.
They would argue that Phil's sound was different.
Tony Banks.
Tony Banks. But they would argue the sound was different and not for the group.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think it's a good point because that's really an uncommon,
very uncommon
thing in entertainment.
Journey's another one. Steve Perry's got to take off. You know, he wants to be solo.
And I've read that recently about like Pearl Jam, where they've come to a place in their career where they've learned to coexist with Eddie doing his thing and the band doing their thing, and I think that'd be really hard to put egos aside in this business.
But they're able to do it.
They're able to do it.
Not a lot of groups. I can't think of other groups that were able to successfully do it. Every time there was a branch off, it seems like those groups fractured. I mean, you can there's 1,000 podcasts of how all these bands fractured and weren't able to sustain.
And this is gonna sound kind of goofy, I think, but
Ooh, I like goofy.
Yeah, I don't know, not goofy, but a little pretentious or whatever.
We love it.
No, but I think part of that is because I think when you listen, what I really kind of pulled out of the Genesis stuff is they are real. They were accomplished musicians.
Yeah,
and I think what I took away from the Genesis work is that they were grounded in the product, in the final, the art, and
that makes sense.
I think it comes through in the work, and so that's I thought that was really kind of an eye-opening thing because I didn't know a lot about Genesis, quite honestly.
So you've learned, the eyes have been opened, if you will.
Yeah, I knew I Can't Dance. I had that album.
Yep.
But other than that, I didn't know. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, this week we're taking up the battle of the same guy, as we've said, but maybe not really. Rob and I are each going to list our favorite 5 songs from each side. Rob, you are Team Genesis this week, and I will argue on behalf of the solo star that is Phil Collins. We've each also got a couple of honorable mentions. They're songs that just missed the top 5 because there's quite a catalog for both of these in both sides. But we will make the case for how great each side was. Disclaimer, you kind of mentioned, we know Genesis made music prior to 1980, but we're focused on the 80s and 90s. So if we don't include any 70s songs today and you're like, that's an essential top 5, I'm not going to argue with you. It's just that's not what we're focused on today. So if we ever do a 70s podcast, I promise we'll go get some of those songs for you, and then we'll make that happen. So
on that kind of that same vein, just so people, we don't get any phone calls from the real fans.
Yes.
The lineup that we're really kind of working with is Mike Rutherford, Tony Banks, Phil Collins.
Yes.
That's the
group.
That's the group that we are working with.
In the decade,
we don't want to get any phone calls or emails that said, "What about that one guy?" We know it's Peter Gabriel. We
got it.
This is the group we're working with.
We are. Yeah. So, all right. I think we're ready to go. We tease this as long as we need to.
Yeah.
People always put on the comments, "You couldn't just get to the songs." And so,
I do have one more disclaimer.
Go ahead.
On my list, I said you're not getting a traditional best of Genesis.
Of course, you're not.
Yeah.
I assumed that wouldn't happen for you.
So what you're not going to hear is Land of Confusion.
Oh wow.
You're not going to hear I Can't Dance.
Why are you spoiling? Don't spoil it.
You're not gonna get any of that. So I don't want people to go.
I know. I fully expected. On the other side of the coin, or the cool side of the pillow, if you will, you are getting the best of Phil Collins. So for those fans that tuned in today to hear Phil Collins songs that you know and like, Dave has come to the rescue for that.
I think that is very fitting. For this show.
I think so too.
I think that's exactly what the difference between Genesis and Phil Collins was.
Yes. And I think unless, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, unless you are true Genesis fans and had the deep albums in the 80s, you're going to hear Rob singles and go, oh, that one. Yeah.
So true. Yes.
But when you hear mine, you'll just be like, yeah. So, and perfect timing. We just found out over the weekend.
That's
Phil Collins inducted. Oh, this is a point in his category in our battle today.
Yeah.
He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
True.
Now, has Genesis been inducted?
I don't know.
Hall of Fame?
I don't know that.
We should Google that.
I don't know. Yeah.
Because if that's the case, then that's also a point for Genesis because they're already in, and then Phil's going in as a solo artist. So
Genesis was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2010.
Boom. So they've been in for a while.
There you go, yeah.
So they're both Hall of Famers. So that. Again, that cancels each other out. So no points for anyone on that one. But congrats to Phil if you're listening, Phil.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's at home. He likes podcasts. I read that somewhere. And I'm sure he's tuning in. So he's going to see this come across a feed and go, it's just about us? Cool. I'll tune into that. So, all right. So we're going to jump in. Okay. You're going to have your first, this is your first honorable mention from Genesis. So this just didn't make your top 5.
Okay.
No lyrics in this song.
It's an instrumental.
Great. But at least you went honorable mention with it. So, there's people driving in their car go, I can't wait to hear Genesis songs today. And then you start with that.
They are going to be disappointed.
Yeah, they're going to be very upset.
Yeah. So this is a song called The Brazilian. It's 1986.
Is it about wax?
No, it's not actually. Yeah. Very much not about wax.
Oh, okay.
The song clocks in at just over 5 minutes long and is one of the shortest selections today. Yeah.
That's
it is
not good.
I know it's not good. It's an experimental instrumental song and is described as a repetitive industrial sounding motif that grows increasingly chaotic and layered as it progresses.
Beautiful.
I love that.
Love it.
It was born out of the band's famous improvised jam sessions. They would do these jam sessions at their studio called The Farm in Surrey. Yeah.
Surrey.
Yeah. The title was a working name that just stuck. The band felt that it had a Latin Brazilian influence, and then it just stayed. It closes out Genesis, their Invisible Touch album. It's the very last song on that album. Rolling Stone review. There was a Rolling Stone review I found, and it said it was a strange way to end Genesis's most radio-friendly LP.
No, nice.
And I agree with that because I think everything else on that album was things we know, you know, and then it ends with that. And I think it was a way for them to hold on to that prog rock, lineage that they had. It's way different than their radio-friendly pop rock hits like Land of Confusion, Tonight, 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 Into Deep, Throwing It All Away. Those are all on Invisible Touch. Apparently, the song is famous. It was in a movie, 1987 animated film called Where the Wind Blows. I don't know. It's
nice.
It's a comedic story about an elderly British couple attempting to survive a nuclear attack.
Beautiful.
That sounds like comedy.
Sounds
that writes
great.
itself.
Yes.
It's got a Grammy recognition. Despite being an instrumental deep cut, it was nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Rock Instrumental Performance in 1987. It was up against...
Bobby McFerrin.
Nope.
Oh.
It was up against Overjoyed.
Oh, okay.
Don't know that. Johnny's Theme from The Tonight Show.
Beautiful.
David Foster. Foster.
You can't beat that guy.
Yeah, he had his own album called David Foster.
You can't beat that guy.
It was called David Foster.
Yep.
The Brazilian, this one, and the Top Gun Anthem.
David Foster won.
No, Top Gun one.
Oh, Top Gun.
Yeah.
I love it.
The live performance, if you ever get a chance, you can hop on YouTube. Their whole Wembley Stadium concert from 1987 is on YouTube. Go watch it. It's really good. This song is on there. I want to talk about that concert real quick.
Okay.
It was the first concert ever shot in high def. Cameras and lenses had to be flown in from the United States and Japan. And the band sold out 4 shows at Wembley Stadium. And if you go watch it on YouTube, it is packed to the gills. People came out to see old Genesis. So if there was any doubt that they couldn't sell out 4 nights at Wembley Stadium. So
well, if that's the info you have on one of your honorable mentions,
yes.
Folks, I hope you're on a 4-hour drive because this podcast will be going long today.
No, I'll get it. I'll rein it in. I'll lock in. I promise.
You were super pumped about that Wembley thing too. So, but that is it is interesting information. Only thing I know about Surrey, because you said that's where they were recording.
Yes.
Surrey, The Holiday. That's where Cameron Diaz's character goes to her cottage.
Yeah.
And apparently the most handsome man on the planet, Jude Law, lives in Surrey as well.
Apparently,
and so
he's a handsome guy. Yeah, he's
of course he's a handsome guy.
Yeah, he's okay.
I'm not threatened by him, but he's handsome.
What
are you gonna do?
You're not threatened by him. That's all right.
You know, if I had the right stylist like Jude, we're about the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can see it on YouTube. I'm not making it up. So all right. Well, my first honorable mention is only an honorable mention because it's kind of a cheat. It's during his solo time, but this song actually isn't just Phil Collins singing.
Good.
Oh, it's great. The reason I isolated that part is I really like in the background. First of all, the duet is fantastic, but I like Phil's parts in the background. His voice just works so good with those secondary where he's kind of just scatting. Oh, you'll be down underneath. Oh, it's so good. So this is Easy Lover, Phil Collins and Philip Bailey. So that's why it's an honorable mention. Not quite a solo, but it was part of his solo work. Philip Bailey, of course, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Phil co-wrote and produced the single. And the reason they actually recorded the song is because Phil was in England producing Philip Bailey's current album. They needed one more like poppy great song, he said, an energetic song to finish it off. And they said, well, let's put a song together. And they threw this together, they said, in a short amount of time, and they just recorded it. So you're like, well, you're going to hate a lot of these today. So, but it's funny, they just threw it together, they said, and it became one of the, I would argue, one of the most recognizable duets of the 80s, right? So the song is famous for its explosive drum fills and high energy dueling vocals. Drum fills is a big thing with Phil Collins. He likes, obviously he's a drummer, but he likes the drum machines. He uses it quite a bit. So,
and that drum that you hear is called a gated reverb drum.
Beautiful.
And he invented it basically.
That's great.
Yeah, I found out that he found it by accident actually.
I just put that song on there as an honorable mention because I cannot not enjoy myself listening to that song. It doesn't matter when I hear it, when it comes on, it makes you happy. It's a good song. It's a great, like I said, that duet is perfect between the two of them. Fantastic song. But falls to the honorable mention just because I think it's not a true solo song, which is what we were kind of focusing in on today.
That's all right, though.
All right.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's your second honorable mention.
All right, it's another instrumental.
Of course it is. Definitely not an instrumental because I can definitely hear Phil Collins singing in the background.
You get some ethereal kind of lyrics back there. But
I like ethereal. Is he floating above the stage?
No, it's got probably a laser light show. I think this is the one that has a laser light show.
Phil Collins is like an angel. He's just floating above.
He kind of. So this is actually.
By the way, we've gone this far in. We on many of shows.
Yeah.
We always talk about Phil Collins, and when he comes up, we always have like a Phil Collins impersonation. I'm Phil Collins.
Phil Collins.
We haven't done it once today, but that's fine. We'll save it for later.
So this is actually also a little bit of a cheat. It's in my honorable mention. It's actually two songs. So it's called Duke's Travels / Duke's End. So on the album, it's two songs. It's two separate songs, but it's played back to back. So it clocks in at nearly 11 minutes long. It is an instrumental finale to their 1980 album, Duke, which was their 10th album overall and their first album of the 80s, 90s, or 80s. Duke's Travels and Duke's End is 2 tracks, but they function as a single continuous piece. It's described as a song that, quote, builds from a rolling atmospheric rhythm into a high-speed proggish workout. I like that one. Yeah. Originally, Duke's Travels and Duke's End was a 30-minute epic. It was crazy.
Too much.
The epic told the story about a character named Albert, and during the Duke tour, the band played the entire 30-minute version in its original order. Man, fantastic.
Beautiful.
The song has been cited by fans as a moment where their 1970s prog rock roots started to sound a little bit like what would become in the 80s. What do you get with the song? You get Tony Banks's electric piano and synthesizer. There's another hard word. And Tony Banks he considers this one of his favorite Genesis albums because of this song. And you get Phil Collins' drumming. And I picked it because I think this song highlights the band's ability as musicians. When you really listen to this whole song, you get the sense that they are, as a trio, very talented musicians in their own right. And so, I mean, it's 11 minutes of jamming, and it's actually really good.
I'm going to tell you what, if I go to a Genesis concert and they start playing a 30-minute song,
jam,
more pissed I could not be. Like, no. I might leave.
You'd be mad if and they would be. They'd be the ones that play like the deep cuts, and you'd be like, "What the heck?"
Yeah, I'm here for We Can't Dance or whatever. Can we just do the songs we need? Invisible Touch. Play Invisible Touch. Play it twice. I don't care. Just want to hear it.
But also, there's a YouTube video of them playing this song. It's like a 1980 version. It's not Wembley. But his stage presence, I just put, is creepy.
Who's that?
Phil Collins.
Oh, yeah. He's kind of creepy anyway.
But
he seems like
it's just different, man.
He seems like, when I watched the videos and I was going through all this, he seems like fun.
Yeah.
Like when you watch him in the videos, he's kind of quirky and kind of silly. And he's, I don't know, he looks like he's a fun guy. I don't know if that's true because some of the other interviews I see, he doesn't seem like such a fun guy. But at least on stage and things like that in his videos, he seems like he could, be fun. Because their videos were kind of fun and kitschy and silly. Yeah. Because they didn't know what to do, so they just kind of did stupid stuff. Yeah, but it made him look folksy, Rob. That's what it did.
Well, that's that prog rock lineage he's got there. Where he's a folk singer.
He is. All right. Well, my second honorable mention, a very popular song, very popular. You might be surprised that it actually fell onto my honorable mention.
Well, there it is.
He likes the ballads.
I
really do.
No jacket required?
Yeah, I really do think that's a great note he hit right there, though. He has good range.
I was going to say that. He's actually a really good singer.
He at least had good range. I don't know at 89 how well he's still singing, but at one point, his range was actually quite good. So this is One More Night. And this was a number one hit. One of his 7 number one hits during the decade of the 80s. Technically, he also had one number one hit in the 90s, as Another Day in Paradise was the last number one song of the 80s and the first number one song of the 90s.
Oh, wow, look at that.
So, interesting. On the Billboard Hot 100. His 7 number one hits as a solo artist were second for the decade only to Michael Jackson's 9. So, again, dominated the era. I mean, he's right there behind Michael Jackson. Phil played and recorded the drum loop on a drum machine live in the studio. I'm just going to tell you right now, I don't understand any of this, but this is what it says. It says he didn't program it to be perfect because I guess the idea of using the drum machine is it perfects the sound, so it sounds very clean and clear. But he used his manual feed, his first cut, if you will, because he wanted the song to sound like it had a heartbeat. And if he programmed the drum machine too much, then it would smooth it out too much. It wouldn't sound like it had that heartbeat. This song was born out of boredom. This will make you happy right here. Yeah. He was messing around with the drum machine and started repeating One More Night just to pass the time, just a thing he was saying, and thought, hey, that might make a good song. And then he finished it out in less than 10 minutes, lyrics and all, and then it became a number one hit.
Fantastic.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Good for you, Phil.
Those creative folk.
They are creative.
I just scribbled it on a napkin.
He's got multiple in here where it's like, I was bored and I wrote this out in 10 minutes and then it was number one.
Let's give you $30 million.
Gotta love it.
Oh,
because I'm super talented, Rob.
Because I'm Phil Collins.
I think Phil Collins starts to take on a Michael Caine persona at one point. So, all right. So those are the songs that just missed our list. The time has come for us to give you the ultimate songs from each of these two powerhouses. Now, Rob's not giving you the ultimate. He's giving you his ultimate songs because he already told you you're not getting any hits.
You're not getting any hits.
Disclaimer, these are the 5 songs we think are their best, and we fully understand if they are not everyone else's essentials. So when you're yelling in your car, just play Invisible Touch, keep yelling because it's not coming. With that, Rob, you're going to start your defense of Genesis with what you believe is their 5th best song.
There you go.
It's an interesting song. Yeah. It's got kind of is it like an island beat or something?
A little bit.
What's going on there?
Yeah. It's that prog rock thing that keeps coming back. I'm telling you. So it's called Driving the Last Spike. It came off their 1991 album, We Can't Dance. It clocks in at just over 10 minutes long.
Good night.
It's their 14th album, 5th in the 80s or 90s. Considered an epic standout from Genesis' 1991 album, We Can't Dance. It's considered the band's final progressive epic. While Phil Collins was their frontman. The song is a historical narrative written by Collins. It tells the harrowing story of, I'm going to call them the Navies.
Okay.
Navvies. So I apologize if
Aren't those the people that are living in Avatar?
No,
that's the Navi.
The Navi.
Oh, that's right. There you go.
But the Navies, if I'm saying that correctly, were they're laborers who built the British railway in the 19th century. So it talks about dangerous working conditions, building on the railway. It goes from this hope of finding work, and then it goes down to mourning the loss of people that died. It's this really long, and it starts off really slow, and then it builds. It's really good. He was inspired after reading a book. Even though it was never released as a commercial single, it remains one of the most requested and respected songs from the 90s era. Mike Rutherford used a specific guitar tone to mimic the rhythmic clanking sound of hammers hitting spikes, trying to get that sound. It proves that even in 1991, they never really lost their ability to tell a long-form story. He tells it's a really cool story. And I think it speaks to their talent as songwriters. It features one of Phil Collins' most technical and passionate vocal performances. And this is where you said it earlier. He's a really good singer.
Yeah, he is.
He starts with this kind of quiet, hushed thing, and then by the end of it, he's screaming, and
he does that. He does it quite a bit. That's a style for him.
Yeah. It's got emotional weight, and it's a 10-minute song that doesn't feel like a 10-minute song. You listen to it, and before you know it, 10 minutes is over. It's really cool. And then this is the first video. I watched the video of him doing this song, and he plays a mean tambourine.
Yeah.
He's up there. He's just like old Eddie Vedder with a tambourine.
Not as good as Liam.
No.
Liam Gallagher.
Yeah.
He is the tambourine man.
That must be a thing. We just hold the tambourine.
You got to do it.
It gives me something to do.
Yeah. Well, when you're not doing anything else, we want something.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
There you go. So yeah,
a good one.
it's called Driving the Last Spike.
The Last Spike. Yeah. Another 10-minute song.
It is another 10-minute song.
So interesting. I have 10-minute songs. I don't want to hear a 10-minute song. So, all right. My number 5. Great song.
Good.
I really like the guitar in this song. It's quite, and it's good upbeat because, like I said, he likes a good ballad.
He does.
But in this case, got a nice upbeat rhythm to it, which I really enjoy. So this is "Don't Lose My Number," I believe, 1985. I didn't write it down, but 85 or 86 came off "No Jacket Required," which a lot of his songs that I have today, "No Jacket Required," which was a huge album, by the way, just a monstrosity. So. Phil, when he was asked about this song, he admits he had no idea what the song is about. He wrote the lyrics on an impulse, and he focused more on how the words sounded than what they meant. He says, it's a rare song where I leaned more into the vibe of the song than the storytelling aspect of it. I usually like to tell a good story, Phil said, but in this case, I just wrote some words. All right, so that's kind of what he said. He didn't know what to do for the video. As we mentioned, they weren't a big video, but they wanted him to make one. So the video is a spoof playing off of California Girls by David Lee Roth.
Okay.
Every Breath You Take, and even Mad Max at one point.
Okay.
There's a Western scene, an aerobic scene. He's a ninja at one point. 80s, Rob.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Fans liked it because it made him seem relatable and that he had a sense of humor, which I kind of alluded to earlier. So he looked like a funny guy. Billy, who is in this song, became a character for Phil Collins. He also refers to Billy in the Genesis song, Man on the Corner. It became a fun Easter egg for Phil Collins / Genesis fans at one point. Number 4 on the U.S. Hot 100, which is crazy. But here's the 3 songs that kept it from getting to number 1. Number 3, Freedom by Wham. It's better than that song. Number 2, Cherished by Cool and the Gang. Also better than that song. Number 1 was Money for Nothing. You weren't going to get over that song. So sorry for that, Genesis. You didn't have a chance on that one. There's nothing I can do for you there. So it only got to number 4 in the U.S. and around the world it did okay, except in one place, Rob. One place it went to number 1. You know where we went to number 1 at?
Switzerland. That's an odd.
Went number 1. Number 1 in Panama.
Very specific.
Yeah, they're down there on the canal, and they're like, crank up. Don't lose my number. That's our song.
There's probably more than just a canal down there.
So, yeah, number 1 in Panama, Rob.
I like how you think they're just hanging out.
They're just hanging out on the canal. Or it's the 80s, so Noriega snorts up a line. He's like, oh, excuse me, crank up the Phil Collins. Enjoy him greatly down here in the Panama. All right, so
they talk in Panama?
Yeah, I've been there. I'm sure that's culturally accurate.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I never mistake accents.
No,
I've been complimented by the Swedes and the Dutch for my wonderful renditions of their accents. So, okay, so it's time for your number 4 song.
All right.
I will say the samples that you have chosen, you can definitely tell the difference in the sound the way with Phil Collins and his solo songs.
Yes.
They're definitely different.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm not going to sell you anything. I'm going to tell you something right now, and it's going to shock you to your core.
Oh, boy.
I've never heard the song.
No,
So,
I hadn't either. There's only one song on my list that I really had heard. So this is a song called Dodo/Lurker. So it's from their 1981 album called Abacab. It's their 11th studio album, second in the 80s. It's generally interpreted as a cautionary tale about humanity's destructive, exploitative, and wasteful nature. It is a multi-part epic from their 1981 album, Abacab. Part 1 is Dodo. It's a heavy driving track with an infectious groove. And then part 2 is Lurker, and it's a little more darker, atmospheric. It's got some weird cryptic lyrics. I'm going to read you the what do you call it?
Please do.
The riddle here in a minute.
Gotcha.
Like many of the songs on the list, it retains the band. You get kind of that prog rock sound. You're starting to hear more of a stadium pop sound in there. You get and you get a really good example of that gated reverb drum and the synthesizer keyboard in there. It's a 7-minute, 31-minute song. 7-minute, 31-second song. That was not correct.
No.
The band originally intended for it to be part of a much longer piece. Again, they eventually decided that the full thing was a little too proggy.
Yeah, that sounds
that
right.
word again.
Yeah.
The lyrics for Lurker, written by Tony Banks, conclude with a cryptic riddle. Let's see if you can solve this riddle.
Okay.
Another maze, the circle's never done. I can go where I want to, but I'm never found. What am I?
Tarzan.
Nope. For years, fans debated on the answer. Tony Banks later confirmed that the answer is a submarine.
I was close. I think so.
Yeah.
I think I was close.
And why did I pick this song? You get kind of that 70s sound. You're starting to sound like 80s. You get Phil's transition from a kind of a proggy, folky sound, and he's starting to sound more like a rock vocalist. It's a prog rock song that is actually pretty funky. It's got a funky beat to it. And then Abacab was the second album of the 80s. And fans consider this is kind of the moment that Genesis started to sound like the Genesis we know.
Oh, okay.
They kind of found their own direction, if you will. So,
very good.
Also, great YouTube video of them playing this live.
I'm sure
Check
it
it out.
is. Yes.
Yep,
So.
Anyway, so it's a song called Dodo / Lurker.
Lurker.
Yep.
We like both those words.
Yeah.
So, well, my number 4, another huge hit, as we promised all day.
Ooh, I remember this video.
Take me home. Man, I should
That's
have
really
been,
good.
I should have been in the background there.
Hey, I thought you were.
I think I missed out on my calling. All right, so this is Take Me Home. The song refers to a patient in a mental institution, and Phil was inspired to write it after reading the novel One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
There you go.
So people think it might be like that you're going home, but that's not what it's about.
So he was a reader, obviously. He's inspired
a
by
reader.
reading. You wrote
Yes.
about, driving the last bike.
Very good.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he's a learned man. So, released March of '86, and his background vocals. There are background vocals provided by one Mr. Peter Gabriel, and another guy. What's his name? Mr. Gordon something.
Shumway.
No, that's Alf.
Oh,
Rob.
got
Yeah.
it.
Alf did not back up, but Sting was able to get there.
Oh, yeah.
And, so you have
Sumner.
there you go,
Yeah,
Sumner. I set you up for that. You do Sumner all the time.
that's right.
So, but you went with Alf.
I know. Well, I don't know.
What kind of studio would that have been? Phil Collins, Peter Gabriel, and Alf? Are we going to do this or what?
I would.
Willie says I got to be home by 10.
There it is.
So, yeah, so not Alf. All right, Phil started using this song as the closer for his live shows on the No Jacket Required World Tour, and it remained his closer for at least another decade. The WWF, now the WWE, also used it in the late 80s to close their show Saturday Night's Main Event. So close it down with old Phil Collins. Again, he's everywhere. Song appeared on the first episode of the second season of Miami Vice. During that same season, Phil guest starred on episode 12 as Phil Mayhew, also known as Phil the Shill, who's a notorious con man.
Oh.
So he's flexing out his acting chops too, which he was in a movie as well, right? So,
Yeah, and
we've
we
gone
had to
over
look
that.
it up, and we'd
Buster or something. We'd never seen it.
Something like that.
It was so weird. So, and also in that Kira Sedgwick, young Kira Sedgwick, guest stars as a girl named Sarah. This is 2 weeks in a row. A girl named Sarah, spelled correctly with the H, Rob.
Oh,
So,
there you go.
In 2003, this song got covered. Or not
What?
covered. It got sampled.
Oh, okay.
It was sampled by one Bone Thugs in Harmony.
Oh, wow.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know if I like that.
Put a kill on, look out. If you niggas try to run up on the bone, I'ma show you like this, I'ma pull my chrome. I don't wanna have to send a nigga home. Lord,
Oh.
please take me home. Come and take me home.
Nah.
They actually got Phil to sing on the track.
They did?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So interesting background on this.
They didn't just use old.
No.
Wow.
Phil said in an interview they called him because they said they wanted to sample the song and then wanted him to be in the video. Phil said, can't be in the video. Not in America. Not going to do it. They said, well, we'll come wherever you are and we'll film the video. And Phil said, don't make me say no, fuck off. But then Phil actually got a copy of the song and he liked it.
Okay.
And so they flew to Geneva where he was. This is maybe where he's a little pretentious, to film the video. Phil said, I couldn't disappoint those guys. They were nice lads.
They're
That's
nice
what he said.
lads.
Those were nice lads. Ralph, I couldn't turn them down.
Oh,
I like Busy Bone. I like the other bones. They're my friends. So, so he was in
do you know
video.
the other bones? Do you know?
Busy,
Busy Bone. That's the only one.
Wizzy, Dizzy. Is there a Dizzy Bone? I don't want to say Jizzy Bone because that sounds gross. So,
I was gonna say you're just putting Izzy on the end of letter.
well, isn't that the way they did it in the
I
90s?
don't know.
Just throw Izzy on anything. I'm Dizzy or Rizzy. That's the way we do it.
Rizzy Bone.
Rizzy Bone. Maybe there was a Rizzy Bone.
That sounds good.
No, I think it does. So, all right. What else is going to sound good? Your number 3 Genesis song that
this is my
nobody
number-
knows.
Oh no, you're gonna know this.
Oh,
one.
okay. Yeah, absolutely not. Oh, I do know
You're
this
gonna
one.
know this one.
You said no tonight. It was in your opening.
I lied about that.
Oh, okay. Such a liar.
No, I mentioned it.
Now, I know that's a Genesis song.
Yeah.
But it sounds like Phil Collins.
Oh, absolutely.
If you told me that was a single of his, I would have believed you. That's a really good song. So,
No, I
really
did
like
mention
it.
at the beginning. I just said it's not like his more popular ones.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So this is it clocks in at early 9 minutes. It's called Tonight. Came out in 1986 off of their Invisible Touch album, which was a huge album. Phil Collins has stated the lyrics are about an addict waiting for a fix. It's considered a prog rock, art rock song, and it's considered a quintessential piece of the Phil Collins-led era of Genesis, capturing the perfect intersection between the 1970s prog rock and roots and the 1980s pop dominance. With this song, you get a killer drum machine beat, a haunting synth pad, gated reverb, we've talked about that, and a kind of an industrial sound. And apparently it was for a generation of viewers, the song was in a Michelob commercial. The Night Belongs to Michelob. It was an ad campaign.
Michelob was fancy, Rob.
I guess.
Did you ever drink Michelob?
No, I didn't.
You pop that top. It's got a gold top on it. You feel like you're an accomplished person when you drink Michelob. You're not drinking Bud Light here. This
is it better than the banquet of
fancy
beer?
stuff. Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Makes the banquet of beer look like a hobo. All right. So a turd in a basket, if you will.
There it is.
There it is.
Oh, we couldn't remember that the other day. Why does this song prove that Genesis is probably the better choice? You get a radio-friendly hook of a pop hit, but the length and instrumental depth of a prog rock song. So to me, I said it feels like a rainy, neon-lit city at 2 o'clock. It feels like an 80s crime drama, maybe like a...
what do you want?
Miami Vice late, the car scene. Like I can see this playing in the background. Phil Collins' vocal performance is great. There's an instrumental bridge in this song that also I think serves as a reminder of how technically proficient they were as musicians. And I think it's a song that proves that the band hadn't sold out, but they had just kind of evolved. The band's 9-minute performance on this song at their 1987 Wembley concert is available on YouTube, and it's a must-watch.
You in that Wembley concert.
It is so good.
You should have been at Wembley.
I watched the whole concert. It's
You
so
were
good.
you were 10. You should have been there.
I should have been there.
Should have been in the back.
That place is packed.
Go Phil.
Yeah, so
your
that's-
voice hadn't changed yet, so we can't expect you to have this deep
Well, it'd
manly
be
voice
weird
you
if
have
I was
now.
10 and I sounded like this.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be
Actually,
weird.
that'd be so good. Like your 3rd grade teacher's call and roll. Rob McCracken here. Yeah, it's like the paging Mr. Herman. That's you. You did that. That was you in the movie.
right.
So,
Yeah.
um,
So that's
tonight. I like that one. That's good. So, well, we'll see if you know my number 3 song.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, listen.
Oh, he goes.
His voice cracked.
Oh, he goes. Oh, that's a good one. You know what? I do have to say, when I listen, as I was listening to these and getting ready, and I listened to them again today, yours not as much. That last one, yes, but this feels like being a kid.
Yeah.
Like this feels like the 80s. Like this, like you said, it was always on the radio. So at some point during my day, you know, between G.I. Joe and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
You're hearing a Phil Collins song.
I'm hearing Phil Collins, you know, MTV or the radio.
And I don't think that was
No
an
chance.
overstatement earlier when I said there wasn't a time in the 80s or 90s where you didn't hear a Phil Collins song. Yeah. He was everywhere.
You imagine you've got Skeletor and He-Man battling, and in the background, against all odds. It kind of fits their fight, as it turns out. So, all right, this is Against All Odds. Parentheticals, take a look at me now. I don't think that's how you say it, but I put that sort of emphasis on it. This is Phil's first #1 hit as a solo artist. It was nominated for an Academy Award and a Golden Globe, but lost both times to Stevie Wonder's I Just Called to Say I Love You. No. By the way, also nominated were Ghostbusters, Footloose, and Purple Rain. So I don't know how Stevie pulled that off.
Wow.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, I Just Called to Say I Love You is fine, but it's not that good.
He
Okay.
got sympathy votes.
He did win a Grammy for Best Pop Vocal Performance, male, 1985. Actually won the same Grammy in 86 for his album, No Jacket Required. So in 1985, he beat Stevie Wonder out at the Grammys, so the music people recognize music a little better than the movie people.
Mm-hmm.
He, in fact, would beat out Stevie again in 86, so apparently, as far as the Grammys go, Stevie never saw Phil coming, Rob. So there you go.
That's well played.
Well played.
That's really
rapper RZA of the Wu-Tang Clan has said this is his favorite power ballad of all time. I don't know how that conversation would even come up with RZA, but it did. And it was ranked his second best ballad by many musical periodicals, if you
There
will.
you go.
So despite its popularity, it only got to #2 in the UK, getting blocked out by Hello from Lionel Richie, our friend Lionel, and The Reflex by Duran Duran. Couple tough hills to climb there. So in adapting the song for the movie, Phil said in retrospect, it was like them giving him $10 million, as that is what he's been paid over the years in royalties for this song. He said, I had the lyrics before I saw the film. Phil also said, when I think of the movie, the first thing that comes to my mind is the size of Rachel Ward's breasts. I thought they were fantastic. And I like Jeff Bridges, too. That was the whole quote. So there you go, Phil. At the 1984 Oscars, Collins was not allowed to perform the song. He just sat in the audience. It was lip synced by another artist. The lip sync received very negative reviews, and Phil told Rolling Stone it was awful and that he sat in the audience stewing with anger.
Why'd they do that?
Phil said, I was right there. The producers of the show stated they preferred to use movie stars over stage actors or pop singers, or they like movie stars or stage actors over pop singers because it's a show about movies.
Okay.
But they were initially told he was unavailable due to touring. He was in Australia. But then Phil said he called him himself and said, I will be attending. I am available. I can sing. And they said, nope, we've already got the show set up. Wow. So you don't get to do it. So he's still a little peeved to this day. If you bring it up, he's upset. He sits in the audience. And I couldn't find it on YouTube, but many people have said if you saw it, he's just sitting there and he's not smiling. And he's just like, these people are tearing up my music. Damn you.
That's
Damn you,
an
Yankees.
example of a song that people remember for the song, not the movie.
Oh, correct.
Nobody remembers.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Well,
I've never seen the movie.
He remembers Rachel Ward's breasts. And
Well, I would probably remember.
I've never seen the movie, and he said they were fantastic. That's 80s boobs call. So, Phil, I might have to take you up on that and check it out,
There you go.
at least for the fantastic breasts, right? And Jeff Bridges is good, too, I heard. So, there you go. So, all right. We're getting to the creme de la creme.
Yeah.
It's time for your #2. I like that drum in the back.
That's really good.
Very 80s sounding.
Yes, very.
Quite this. There's a synthesizer in there,
Oh,
too.
there's
Sounds like.
there's all kinds of crap going on there. So this is the song. It's called Abacab. It's the self-titled song from their 1981 album Abacab of the same name. It comes in at just under 7 minutes.
Beautiful.
The lyrics written by Mike Rutherford focus on the themes of conflict,
By the
paranoia.
way, you mentioned Mike Rutherford several times. You mentioned Mike and the Mechanics earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned he was who formed Mike and the Mechanics.
Yes,
correct?
I did not mention that. But good
Because
call.
when Phil was doing his solo stuff, he would go off with Mike and the Mechanics.
Do a little side project.
There you go.
Yeah. This song was released in 81. It was the title track of their 11th studio album, Abacab. It's considered the moment Genesis kind of really fully shed the 70s prog
Shed
rock.
it
And
away.
now they're just embracing the 80s sound. It has a jam kind of origin to it. So Abacab was born out of a jam, but the title, when they were naming the song, they didn't have a name for it. So they just named the sections of the song A, B. So they had section A,
Brilliant.
section B, section C.
I see where this is going.
The original sequence was A, B, A, C, A, B.
They're brilliant, Rob.
And although the final song structure changed, the name stayed.
Yes.
Yeah. Wembley performances on YouTube. Check it out. They were influenced by, at the time, there was a studio. It was called the Power Station. It was in New York.
Oh, yeah.
And it produced a lot of Grammys and award-winning stuff, and they wanted to sound like that. So that's what this was trying to sound like. This song gives you a glimpse of what the band would become. You get instrumental complexity. You get a punk it's almost punk. It represents they called it the golden ratio of the band's transition. So you had about 33% of the song was a little proggish. 33 was a little new wave. You get some new wave in there, and 33% was about it was just a pop song. Phil Collins is drumming on this track. In addition to like In the Air Tonight, this generation of his drumming they say it changed how drums were recorded across the industry. In this song, the band moved away from the fairies, knights, complex narratives of the Peter Gabriel era, and it proved that Genesis could be cool without all the theatrics. And so, and the live long version really shows
I'm sure.
There's just a jam. It's like a 10-minute jam.
Yes.
It's so good.
By the way,
lights go down.
Yeah. By the way, if we were on an episode of Pee-wee's Playhouse,
Yeah.
and the word of the day was proggish, everyone would be losing their ever-loving mind. Pee-wee would just be screaming every 30 seconds. That's your word of the day, Rob.
Yeah, I love it.
The password is
Proggish.
proggish.
I love it.
All right.
Yeah.
That takes us to my number 2, Phil Collins. It was close to being number 1, but it just fell short. Another fun song. You know what I love about that song too? The horns are so good in that song. That horn fill behind him. And again, this is another song you just listen to and you smile. Like it's just, I like the upbeat tempo of it. Everything, it works great. So this is Sussudio. The word means nothing, according to Phil Collins. You're gonna like this. It was a placeholder Phil put in while sampling things on a drum machine. He just threw it was a nonsense word. He decided to keep it because it was just so catchy and it fit the melody perfectly, and he couldn't think of anything else better than it. Later, it was determined he construed it as a girl's name because it's about a girl in the song.
It's a weird girl's name.
Yeah, I called up old girl last night, Sussudio. She came over to my apartment.
Sussudio?
I'm just gonna call her Sue because it's just a mouthful saying Sussudio. So, who is this? Oh, this is my wife, Sussudio. So,
Everybody has ever named their kids Studio.
all right. So, controversy a little bit here, kind of, but not sort of. I think the media made it more controversy than it actually was. Some people in the media thought the song sounded similar to Prince's 1999. Okay. Collins has never denied any similarity, saying, I was a big fan of Prince and I was listening to him a lot while touring with Genesis. Prince has made no comment, and he never saw any action over the song. As Prince was once quoted saying, many dance pop 80s songs have similar beats.
They do. Yeah.
So, he didn't. Prince never thought it was an anything burger, but some people in the media are like, oh, those sound similar, but nothing ever came of it. No. Critics were split. Some thinking it was a great, catchy song, others thinking it was too poppy, and the style was beginning to wear thin because by 86, okay, we've heard this kind of bop, bop, bop song before. I still think it's great. Despite the critics, it was Collins' third #1 hit as a solo artist. So put that in your Sussudio and smoke it. Collins told Rolling Stone, you're going to like this, as usual, Rob, I am not a big fan of the song or the album, No Jacket Required, biggest album he ever put out. He acknowledges the killer horn section, but that the rest of the song wasn't really him. He wasn't being himself. This is very artisty stuff here. This was me trying to write a dance tune, which probably wasn't my style. I've always liked the song, but he said for a long time I liked the song, but then I thought it's just not me. So he looks back on it, and I don't know what kind of interview that is. You know how much money he made off No Jacket Required? Come on, man.
Yeah, look
His
at that.
Grammy. He won a Grammy for that album.
Well, just look at the track lineup of that album.
Hey, you won a Grammy for that album. Oh, I don't really like it. It's not me. It's bad. It's a bad album. Shut up, dude. Come on. Like when you seem like you're fun and then you say something like this, I can't get on board with you. So, all right, I've always loved this song. I've always listened to it since I was a kid. But what I remember it now the most for is it was used in the 2000 movie American Psycho with Christian Bale.
Oh, yeah.
So it's also talked about in the book, which I've read, and it's a crazy book.
He really
if you wanna
unpacks
read.
it.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, it's a whole chapter about Genesis and Phil Collins. It's in the movie where he has the two girls in his apartment, and he's explaining how he came to enjoy Genesis after their 1980 album, as you expressed, Rob, and that Invisible Touch was the group's masterpiece. But then as he gets the two girls ready for their sexual encounter, Christian Bale goes over to his stereo and he puts on Sussudio. And he says, in such a plain, calm voice, "This is Sussudio. Great song. Personal favorite." All right. And what's funny about the whole scene is he's talking about Genesis and unpacking and Phil Collins and all this. And then in the middle of it, he'll just stop and go, "Hey, start licking her ears." And then he's got a camera out. He's doing all this weird stuff. But then he immediately goes right back like he never broke pattern on any of that. And he just starts talking about
That's like when he does
Phil
the
Collins
Huey
and
Lewis
Genesis.
part, where
Oh,
he's like
it's
dancing.
Yeah, it's so crazy. The song is being used because it is said that psychopaths try to fake real emotions by absorbing things like the music that average people listen to.
Yeah.
Psychopaths know all the words, but they never hear the music. Collins said he was flattered for his music to be in the movie. He thought it was a fun movie.
Oh, that's good.
He thought American Psycho was a fun movie. That's what he said.
Okay.
So, Phil
Yeah.
Collins.
Well, that makes me feel better
See-
because a lot of times I don't
See
hear the
him,
lyrics.
You want to see Phil in
I hear the music. I don't hear the lyrics.
See Phil in the audience. Oh, that's funny. He chopped that guy's head off. Sawed it right off.
Yes, that's good.
Sussudio. Anyway, so lots to unpack on Sussudio, but American Psycho now. It's just interesting. Sussudio's playing in the background when like crazy stuff is happening. And by the way, that sexual encounter with the two women doesn't end up well for the two women. So
The whole, it never ended well.
Nothing ended
when he
well
was playing
in
music,
that movie.
you knew that.
something bad was going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's funny what songs they pick to accompany the horrible stuff.
That juxtaposition.
It's so
was-
good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to chop up people. Studio. You know, it's
Okay,
perfect.
he's dancing backwards.
Oh, yeah. So good. So, all right. The time has come.
All right.
I'm sure people are out there like, I know what it's going to be.
Well,
You know.
the true I think
True
Genesis,
Genesis
fans
fans.
are probably going to know.
You
it,
know,
but-
a friend of the show, D.
Yeah.
He would appreciate Jason has always said that he was I liked hits off the radio.
Yeah.
And D likes to go down the Primstone path, if you will, and find those songs that nobody knows. Or Primrose. I'm sorry, Primrose.
The Primrose Path.
Not Primstone. I don't know what Primstone
Primstone?
is. I think that's a college in Connecticut.
It's a good band name.
It is Primstone Path.
Yeah.
So number one, Rob.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Let this play out just a little bit. I want you to listen.
No.
Listen to this. Watch.
I do really like it. Actually.
That's really good.
I haven't
Yeah.
heard it before, but the way those drums come in,
Yeah.
I don't know what that thing in the background is. That a harp? I don't know what's
I
happening
don't
there.
know.
Sounds like a recorder, maybe.
But really quick, just I want to isolate this part one more time. Go
Okay.
ahead. Right here. Listen to this laugh. Did I get it right? Oh, here it is.
By the way, same laugh he used while watching American Psycho. So same one, same exact laugh. It's a great movie.
No, so this is a song called Mama. It's a clocks in at just over 6 minutes long. So it's an average song for them. Despite being over 6 minutes long, in its album version, it became the band's biggest selling single in the UK. It peaked at number 4. It's from their 12th album, the third album in the 80s, released in 1983. The first song written for their 1983 self-titled album. Born from a jam session, again, it's the lead single from the album. It's been described as atmospheric, unsettling, dark, experimental. The song is not a tribute to motherhood. It's,
Okay.
it's actually written. It was written by Phil Collins. It was inspired by a script for a play about a young man's obsession with a prostitute. Yeah, there you go. With the song, you get a drum beat machine. You get gated reverb. You get synthesizer. You get Phil Collins' laugh, which has been called iconic, menacing. It was inspired by the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five's track, The Message.
Oh, nice.
He was fascinated by Melly Mel's delivery and decided to incorporate a version of it into the song's tension. I tried to fact check that, and I hope that's true, but somebody can fact check me. There's a video that it's out there. It's sepia toned. It's got kind of a Jack the Ripper feel to it. So anyway, why does this song prove that Genesis is the better choice? It proved that the band could be heavy and dark. It proved they didn't need to rely on the traditional prog rock thing. They could kind of branch out. And it was just weird enough to keep the prog rock people kind of close, but bring in a new pop audience. And you get Phil Collins' vocals in this, I think
they're really good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you're only getting a part of the song. You really need to listen to the whole thing. You get huge drums, synth heavy atmosphere. You get very little guitar work, and it's been called a masterclass in the slow burn, where it just builds tension over the song. It starts real slow, and then by the end of it, it's frantic. It's crazy. And his maniacal laugh, I've talked about it. The video, the Wembley video, concert footage. It goes dark. He lights just his face and laughs, and he does it. You gotta watch it.
You couldn't.
My daughters couldn't. They told me to stop playing it. I kept playing it while I was getting ready, and
poor Rob couldn't fall asleep at night.
it's spooky.
You see him in your dreams.
It's spooky.
Phil Collins is haunting your dreams.
Yeah, it's spooky.
He's your paralysis sleep demon. I'm here, Rob. Don't fall asleep.
But no, I encourage you. This is my number one because I had never heard it, and it's a fantastic song. I think people should go check it out.
If you fall asleep, I'm going to sing groovy kind of love into your ear. So, all right. Well, my number one at this point, you can probably guess what it is. I'm gonna think our fans at home will already know exactly what it is, even before I play it. But you know what? I'm gonna play it anyway.
Oh, there it is. Good stuff. That's lightning in a bottle right there.
So what I would say is there are things from the 80s, like musical sounds or movies or whatever. If you made a top 5 things that as soon as you heard it transport you to the 80s, I think that drum beat, that lead in drum is it. Like everyone who grew up in the 80s knows exactly when they heard it the first time. It's stuck in your brain for the rest of your life. Like, and it's so good.
Yeah.
Like the first time you hear, I don't even have to hear the rest of the song. I just hear doo 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 doo, and you're just like, okay. And then of course they do it on the premiere of Miami Vice when they're driving, and I mean, so you just immortalize it. So this is for everyone who doesn't know, In the Air Tonight. Phil is only one of 3 artists, real quick, to sell over 100 million albums as a solo artist, and the member of a group. The other 2, Rob, Paul McCartney, Michael Jackson. That's the team. That's the club. McCartney, Jackson, Collins, okay? With a group and as a solo artist, over 100 million albums sold. So that's nothing, not nothing. This song only hit number 19 on the U.S. Hot 100 in 1981. And as I said on our 81 versus 91 episode, it didn't even chalk up a spot on the end of year 100 singles. How does that happen? I don't understand. I just want to let you know. And now, probably considered one of the most iconic tracks of the 80s? I would say. Honestly, I just believe that. I would say if you're thinking of 80s songs, that do, everybody knows In the Air Tonight.
Yeah, if there's a Mount Rushmore of 80s songs.
It might be right there. Yep. But I just want to let you know, these are songs that did make it on the end of year Hot 100. Songs and artists. Carpenters. Okay. John Schneider. He's one of the guys in Dukes of Hazzard.
The Duke Boys.
Air Supply.
Yeah.
Ronnie Millsap.
Of course.
Oh, Manhattan Transfer. Don't forget about that. Oh, and Elvira. Awful. Even if you like that song, it shouldn't be above In the Air Tonight. And Endless Love was number 1 for the whole year.
Yeah, of course.
So tough. I don't know what the listening audience was going on, but
we discussed that.
It's awful. This should have been somewhere. So Phil played the song for Mike and Tony of Genesis. We established.
Okay.
but they thought it was too simple of a track for the band. So good call, Mike and Tony. That's a strike against Genesis. Whatever we're debating today, those two going, it sounds a little simple.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay, no problem. I'll just put it out solo and go do and be more popular. I could have just done that song.
I'll keep that. Yeah.
He could have just done that as a solo artist and still been bigger than Genesis for the 80s.
That's true.
So
That's true.
So featured on Miami Vice. Ozzy Osbourne said it's the best drum fill he's ever heard in his life, or had heard in his life. Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs. Used in the movie Risky Business with Tom Cruise and Rebecca De Hornay. Still used today, pretty much a pop culture phenomenon from the 80s. But I will say, in 2010, in the movie The Hangover, starring Bradley Cooper and the rest of those guys, they have the scene with Mike Tyson, and he's listening to In the Air
that's right.
Tonight.
They're in his
And he
apartment.
goes, oh, this is the best part. And it goes, do, and then he knocks out Ed Helms.
Yeah.
Right? A paper wrote it up, or a magazine, whatever it was, some periodical, wrote up that cemented it in pop culture immortality. Because now you have the 80s, you have Miami Vice. Now you put it in one of the biggest rated R movies ever made, The Hangover. And it's everyone knows that now that was 11 the 2000s when he goes do, and then Tyson. And then, or he knocks out, Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah.
And then Ed Helms goes, he still got it, So it's a really funny scene. And tying that in, it's just funny because Mike Tyson's like, oh, be quiet, here comes the best part. And it is the best part. It's that drum, drum fill.
You got an 80s icon listening to an 80s song in a 90s movie.
2000s movie.
2010.
Movie, and knocking out, Zach Galifianakis. So it all worked. It was perfect. So, all right, those are each of our top fives. So after hearing everything, Rob, you be unbiased here.
Yeah.
Who do you think had I would say not who you like better. Who do you think had a better 80s and 90s? Was it Genesis as a group, or was it Phil Collins as a solo artist?
Oh, I think you have to go Phil.
Okay.
I think the right answer is Phil.
Yes.
I
agree with the Phil.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll also add. I think if you listen to Phil or you listen to Genesis, I think you don't lose. Yeah. Like both put out a lot of great songs in the 80s. And again, Invisible Touch, we didn't cover today. Some of the other I Can't Dance, stuff like that. Yeah. Those are good songs. Yeah. And Genesis had some great hits on the radio. That Invisible Touch album's right up there. I don't know if it's bigger than No Jacket Required, but at one point, Invisible Touch and No Jacket Required are out at the same time. I mean, that's just Phil Collins just printing money and putting it in his pocket. You know what I mean? So
no, I was gonna look up, if you look up just the Invisible Touch set, or song list, track list. Invisible Touch, In Too Deep, Throwing It All Away, Tonight, Land of Confusion. I mean, so it put out a lot of 80s.
Great songs.
But no, I think Phil Collins, I'm a believer that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. I think I prefer the Genesis side of the thing after listening to this, but I think with Phil Collins, you get accessibility, relatability, and you can't deny the song, the chart success of Phil Collins.
And we didn't feature it because I really hate it, but he did win an Oscar finally for that song on Tarzan. I don't even remember the name of it. Yeah. What is it called? I'll Be in Your Heart or something like that.
I think that's right.
It sucks. I really hate it a lot. But
I also put down that Genesis, I think, is one of those bands that it's your. We said this about a rapper somewhere along the way. We said it's your rapper's favorite rapper. I think Genesis is one of those bands. It's probably your band's favorite band when you really look back, and they influenced a lot of people. Like
real quick, Rob, my band's Nirvana. Do you think Nirvana's band's favorite band?
I bet you
Genesis.
I bet you if you really did like a 6 degrees of because they influenced people like Simple Minds, Human League, Fish. Yeah, and so I think when you look at some bands and they're gonna come back to
Kurt Cobain was young once. Maybe he was 7 or 8 in his little sweater. But
they influenced Brian May of Queen, Alex Lifeson of Rush, Eddie Van Halen of Van Halen.
Who's Van Halen?
Van Halen.
It's very proper. I am Van Halen of the Van Halen tribe,
and the guitars from Echo and the Bunnymen. So I think you've really got down to it. But I think Phil Collins' shadow just overcasts anything Genesis.
Van Halen sounds like a clan in Game of Thrones. Oh, we have to fight the warriors in the north with the Van Halen clan. Eddie, take us out. So anyway, they'll drink some mead. They'll have some fun. All right, fans, it's your turn. What are your thoughts on Phil versus Genesis? Who had the better run during the 80s and 90s? Rob and I both agreed. Phil probably came out on top, but again, you can't lose. I think listen to either. Or there is the other side of the fence. Do you hate them both? Maybe we're going to have some fans that are like, yeah, I was never a Genesis and or a Phil Collins fan. So I have met people that don't like any of that music. So it sounds poppy and radio friendly and blah, blah, blah. So, but I like poppy and radio friendly, so you win my vote. You can connect with us on social media. Let us know what's your favorite track. More importantly, what's the one song we missed that belongs in Genesis Phil Collins debate, Invisible Touch, that could have tipped the scales, right? Give us your favorite or tell us another 80s or 90s topic you want us to tackle next. We say that every week, and it just sounds like fodder. But guess what? This was a listener's request, and we did the show, so it does happen. So don't dismiss our send in your topics. And look, if today's tracks got you pumped up and nostalgic, and you want to hear them in full, we've got you covered. Check the show notes for our official Genesis versus Phil Collins playlist on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon Music. And as Rob said earlier, check out YouTube and go to that Wembley concert,
1987.
Apparently, 1987. You will have your mind blown.
It's really good.
if you will.
Yeah.
Blown.
Blown. Yeah. The Total 80s and 90s Recall team wants you to know that this podcast is the perfect complement to your listening experience and the perfect antidote to modern life. David and I would like to connect with you if you can relate to any of the following. If you remember the smell of a new Scholastic Book Fair flyer.
It's very good.
If you can still hear the screeching symphony of a 56K dial-up modem, or if you meticulously timed a radio recording to catch your favorite song only to have that stupid DJ talk over the intro or the outro. Tell us all about it by sending us an email at 80s90srecall@gmail.com and check out our show notes for a never-ending way to connect with the Total 80s 90s Recall team. And don't forget, let the Total 80s 90s Recall team help you appreciate the present by indulging in a healthy dose of the good old days.
And if you love the 80s and 90s, which why wouldn't you? Why else would you be here? Support the show with a 5-star rating and a review. Actually went up 4 5-star ratings this week on Spotify. Wow. So thank you to those folks. Your feedback helps other fans find us, keeps our community growing, and the 80s and 90s living strong. The 80s, 90s grow strong within Rob and I.
That's right.
Us young Padawans
Or something like that.
of the nostalgia of our favorite 2 decades.
Sure. There you go.
Grow strong? It does, Rob. So, all right.
No Yoda.
You know what time it is?
Ooh.
Closing thoughts with Rob.
I really do almost fall asleep on that.
I do like
so,
that. Yeah.
So somber. Ooh.
Today's closing thoughts are brought to you by Against All Odds Insurance. Life is a series of misunderstandings, whether your house was damaged in a home by the sea or you're dealing with the mama of all fender benders. We've got you covered. Against All Odds Insurance. Take a look at us now. Or the law firm of McCarthy, Jackson, and Collins.
Oh, very good.
That was really good. Yeah. What did we learn today? We learned that Phil Collins and Genesis can cause an emotional jerk.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I like that.
Very
That was
much
good,
so.
yeah. And we learned that Phil likes podcasts.
He does.
Yes.
That's all he does all day long.
That's all he does. Vocabulary today. We heard a lot of vocabulary. We used the word proggish.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a word. I looked it up.
No.
There's priggish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I heard you use the phrase an anything burger.
Oh, that's a good one.
They're really good. And then you just recently used the word fodder.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I looked that up. So fodder is a coarse, dry food such as hay, straw, or silage given to livestock like cow, sheep, and horse.
That has to mean something else.
Horses.
There has to be an alternate meaning for that
know.
word
I don't
because
know.
I've
That's
heard it
fodder.
used other ways.
Yeah, it can say, figurative usage refers to materials easily used or consumed, such as tabloid fodder,
There you go.
parenthetical sensational stories, or comedian fodder, like easy topics for jokes. There you go.
Gotcha.
Corrections or apologies. I want to apologize to the Panamanians. And
For what?
And the Noriega family.
I don't think we need to apologize to them.
I don't know. Yeah.
He was a criminal. I think we're okay there.
Yeah. And the playlist used. I was going to use it. I couldn't think of it.
No, okay.
Primrose or
Primrose Path.
Yeah, but it wasn't Primrose. You used something
I
else.
said
Yeah.
Primrose.
Yeah, I don't know. Primrose or something. Yeah, music artists we think you should listen to. There's a cover band called The Music Box. It's a Canadian band renowned as the only tribute act to receive support and approval from the real band of Genesis, often recreating exact visual shows from the 1970s. It's officially endorsed by Collins, and Collins sometimes performs as a guest.
That's
and
good.
Gabriel took his children, Peter Gabriel took his children to see the music box so they could see what their father did back then.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there you go.
He could also just put him on YouTube.
Yeah.
That'll show him what he did back then too. So,
Yeah. And then a fictional band we think you should listen to is called The Invisible Touches.
ooh,
Yeah, their hometown is Oak Haven, Illinois. They formed in a basement that had been converted into a high-tech studio. Their musical style is they play a polished blend of synth pop. It's music that sounds expensive.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it does.
The fan base is there are fans who love the catchy melodies but spend hours dissecting the philosophical and darker subtext of the lyrics. Yeah. The stage show, the band is rarely seen in the direct light. They perform behind a series of semi-transparent screens, and you just get their silhouette. You never actually see them. Their debut album is called The Mirror Image. Their first single is called Static in the Line, and their B-side is called Silent Corner.
Nice.
There you go. And this week's challenge is tell us what we missed.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, didn't
I
find,
have
find some.
I actually have another challenge.
Ooh.
For the listeners out there, see if you can convince one other person in your life that you know a girl named Sussudio. Tell them you went to college together. Tell them,
name their
yeah.
cat.
Tell her, we worked together at Burger King, whatever it was. Sussudio, we need more fries up over here. Just try to convince someone that that's a name somebody named someone else. That's all I'm saying.
That's all we got.
Let's see what you can get away with on that. So
That'd be fun if we found somebody who said, actually,
I want to get an email this week. I just want to let you know. My parents named me Sussudio.
my first roommate in college, her name was Sussudio.
Sussudio. Her parents worship Phil Collins.
I didn't even know
What
it
can
was
I
a
do?
song.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So,
All right.
yep. All right. In the battle for supremacy of the 80s and 90s, we've dissected the solo hits and analyzed the stadium anthems. But when the dust settles, it's impossible to ignore the reality. Whether the artist won or the group won, Phil Collins was standing in the winner's circle every single time. He didn't just participate in the decade's music. Arguably, he was the 80s for sure. And frankly, he's the only one who could have beaten himself today. All right. So good for you, Phil. Finally, a big shout out to you, our awesome listeners. Whether you found us for the first time or you're a longtime listener, we're stoked you hung out with us this week. Hopefully, we brought you an hour or so of laughs, great memories, and don't forget to catch all new episodes. Totally 80s and 90s Recall every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. What do we do next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday, we're going to travel from the 80s, the early 90s, all the way into the middle of the 90s. This is going to be fun for us. We're going to do our favorite alternative songs of 1996.
That's right in the breadbasket.
That is.
Holy
And
cow.
for you, but I think you're going to find 96 interesting year for alternative music, interesting pivot point of taking the early 90s to the other side of the 90s.
Okay.
But it should be a fun adventure.
Now we're getting to the end of the decade there. It's getting close.
Getting close.
Yeah.
But 96, that's your graduation year. So all these
The year
songs
I graduated, that's right.
should hit home real well for you.
My 30 year? 30?
Probably.
This is summer. Yeah.
There you go. But we should have quite an eclectic list. And we're setting you free on whatever. So who knows?
wow.
Who knows what's going to happen?
You never know.
Never know. So
Never can tell, as Jack Burton says.
All right. So, we covered Genesis and Phil Collins this week. They're very British,
Yeah, they
if
are
you
very
will. So we usually say fancy goodbye.
Oh.
But that doesn't fit. So a fancy cheers, Rob?
Not a fancy cheers.
Cheers is how they say,
yes,
goodbye
yeah.
in
No
England.
cheers.
So no fancy cheers.
No fancy cheers.
Or no fancy goodbye.
No fancy cheers.
So you have nothing.
I've got nothing. Not even fancy.
Since you didn't use it, we got to give them something.
That's all right. People driving home are like, there it is.
I needed it. Inject Genesis right into my veins. I need to
Mainline
fix.
it.
I need to fix. Ooh, that synth goes hard.